Okay, so in this video, what we're going to do is solve the evaluate expression problem. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use a stack to solve this problem. And the way that we're going to use it is actually called Dijkstra's shunting yard algorithm. So you can Google this to get a deeper understanding of this algorithm and its history. But for now, I just want to talk about stacks. So let's look at the kind of input that we're going to get. So rather than what's called infix notation, as in mathematical notation where in the middle of two numbers is described what to do to them. So in between this 1 and this 2, there's a plus. Instead, you have a reverse, postfix notation. And so these two numbers would be added together because this plus sign came after those numbers. So here's an example of that. 3 and 4 would be added together because the next element in this list is a plus sign. And then once 3 and 4 were added together, what would happen is you'd see that there's a 5, and then you would look at the next element, and then basically there would be a 3 and a 4 added together, so you'd have a 7, and then you'd have a 5 on your stack, and then you'd evaluate this minus sign, and so you'd take those last two elements and you'd subtract one from the other. So it's basically the operator will come last and the operands will come first rather than being separated by the operator. So how do we handle that? Well, basically what you want to do is take a look at, you want to add these elements to the stack. And then once you find an element that isn't a number, you want to look at the elements that have come before and apply that to those elements. So let's solve for just a plus. Let's go ahead and just call evaluate expression on a list. And the list will contain, 1, 2, plus. And I'll actually just, create these, turn these into strings like they are in the example. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to add this 1 and this 2 together. So how do we do that? Well, we need to have a place to kind of store all the numbers that we're going to need to modify. So we'll need to create a stack. Okay. Then we'll need to then we'll need to loop over every element in the list. And then if the element is a number, what we'll do is we'll add it to the stack. But if it isn't a number, then we know that we need to do something to it. So if it's a plus sign, then what we'll do is we will pop off the last two elements on the stack, add them together, and then append the result to the stack. That way, if we have something like this, and maybe a minus sign, then we'll be able to properly subtract 3 from our answer. So this should result in 0. Okay, so then basically this here will kind of solve our plus sign case. So what I'm going to do is translate this into Python code and test it incrementally in the next video.